first question says simplify m square whole power 3. So according to the rules of indices, whenever there's a power outside the bracket and inside the bracket, we will multiply them. So m to the power of 2 times 3 is m to the power of 6. Next part says simplify x to the power 5 times x to the power of 8. So whenever we have similar bases being multiplied, we add the powers. So it's going to be 5 plus 8, and that's going to be x to the power of 13. Next part says expand 4p times p square plus 3p. So 4p will get multiplied with p square and with 3p. So 4p times p square plus 4p times 3p. That's going to be 4p cube. Once again, since we have similar bases being multiplied, we add the powers. So 1 plus 2 is 3. And over here, 4 times 3 is 12. And p times p is p square. That's your answer. Question number 2 says Johnny wants to know how much coffee he will need for 800 people at a meeting. Each person who drinks coffee will drink 2 cups of coffee. 10.6 grams of coffee is needed for each cup of coffee. He assumes that 68% of the people will drink coffee. Using this assumption, work out the amount of coffee Johnny needs. Give your answer correct to the nearest gram. 68% of the people will drink coffee and 800 people are at a meeting. So let's find 68% of the 800 people. And that's going to give us 544. So these are the number of people who will drink coffee. Now, each person who drinks coffee will drink 2 cups of coffee and 10.6 grams of coffee is needed for each cup. So 1 cup requires 10.6 grams of coffee. So 2 cups will require 2 times 10.6, which is basically 21.2 grams. Now, since one person is going to drink 2 cups of coffee, so since 2 cups have 21.2 grams of coffee and one person is going to drink 2 cups, so for the amount of coffee, what we will do is we'll multiply 544, which is the number of people who will drink coffee, with the amount of coffee drunk by 21.2 times 544, which is equal to 11,532.8 grams. So answer correct to the nearest gram is going to be 11,533 grams. That is your final answer. Next part says Johnny's assumption is wrong. 72% of the people will drink coffee. How does this affect your answer to part A? So if 72% of the people will drink coffee, so we'd find 72% of 800, and that will equal to 576. So compared to 544, now 576 people are going to drink coffee, which means he will need more coffee. So if we will need more coffee, that means our answer to part A will be different. We will need a higher number. So coffee increases in value. Question 3 says ACF and ADG are straight lines. BCD and EFG are parallel lines. Show that the triangle ACD is isosceles. ACD. This triangle has to be an isosceles. So in parallel lines, alternate angles are equal. This angle is alternate to this, which means this is going to be 125. So angle FCD equals to 125 as alternate angles are equal in parallel lines. Then next, if this is 125, this is going to be 180 minus 125, which is basically 55. So angle ACD equals to 180 minus 125, which is 55. Angles on a straight line add up to 180. Same reason over here. We will subtract 110 from 180, which is 70 degrees. So angle ADC is 180 minus 110, which is 70 degrees. Same reason as this. Now, to find the third angle A, what we will do is angle CAD would be 180 minus 55 minus 70, which basically equals to 55. That means this length is equal to this length. AD is equal to CD because opposite angles are equal. Which clearly shows that this is an isosceles triangle, because in isosceles triangle, you have two equal angles and their opposite lengths are also equal. So that is your answer. Question 4 says it takes 14 hours for 5 identical pumps to fill a water tank. How many hours would it take 4 of these pumps to fill another water tank of the same size? So 14 hours are needed for 5 pumps. So for one pump, we divide 5 by 5. So if the hours of 5 pumps are going to be done by one pump, so that means the time for one pump is going to increase by 5 hours. So we do 14 times 5, which gives us 70 hours. So one pump will take 70 hours to fill an identical water tank. Now they want us to know how much hours it will take for 4 of these pumps to fill another water tank. So for 4 pumps, we multiply this by 4. That means the time that is taken by one pump gets divided by 4, because 70 hours will now be divided among 4 identical pumps. So 70 divided by 4, and that will give us 17.5 hours. So it will take 17.5 hours for 4 of these pumps to fill another water tank of the same size. Question 5 says A and B are numbers such that A equals to 2 squared times 3 to the power of 4 times 7 and B equals to 3 squared times 7 squared. Find the highest common factor of A and B. So A is 2 squared times, I'm going to split 3 to the power 4 into 3 squared times 3 squared, then times 7. And B is 3 squared times 7 squared. So if you notice, between A and B, we have 1 7 common and we have a 3 square common. So the highest common factor is going to be 3 squared times 1 7, not 2 7s. So that's going to be 9 times 7, and that is 63. That is your highest common factor. And says find the lowest common multiple of A and B. So for the lowest common multiple, what we will do is A is 2 squared times 3 to the power 4 times 7, and B was 3 squared times 7 squared. So lowest common multiple will be 2 squared times 3 to the power of 4 times 7 squared, which is basically going to give us 15,876. That is your LCM of A and B. Question 6 says lava flows from a volcano at a rate of 11.9 meter cube per second. How many days does it take for 67,205,600 meter cubes of lava to flow from the volcano? Giving your answer correct to the nearest day. So your rate basically is equal to the volume divided by time in seconds. So we will do 11.9 equals to the entire volume being divided by time. So time would be the volume divided by the constant rate, which is 11.9. And that gives us 0.41 second. So this is your time in seconds. So now they say give your answer correct to the nearest day. So we'll convert the seconds into days. So 1 day is equal to 24 hours. 1 hour has 3600 seconds. So 24 hours will have 24 times 3600, which basically gives us 86,400 seconds. So in 1 day, we have 86,400 seconds. So to convert this time in days, we will divide this by 86,400, and that will give us 65.3 days, which can be rounded to 65 days. So that is your answer. Question 7 says, here's the graph of y equals to x squared minus 2x minus 2. Write down the coordinates of the turning point on the graph of y equals to x squared minus 2x minus 2. This is your turning point. So over here, this is your corresponding x and y value. So x value is 1 and y value is -3. That is your turning point. Write down an estimate for one of the roots of x squared minus 2x minus 2 equals to 0. So roots are basically your x-intercepts, which is this and this point. So this point over here is approximately -0.78. And this one is -2.78. So it says write down an estimate for one of the roots. So you can give either x equals to -0.78 or like whatever value you can like see from the graph, because it will be like your value will be a part of a range of values. So as long as your value is from that range, your answer is correct. Or x can also be equal to -2.78 or whatever you have in the given range. Question 8 says a solid cube is made out of metal. The metal has a density of 9 grams per centimeter cube, and the volume of the cuboid is 72 centimeter cube. Work out the mass of the cube. So density is basically mass over volume. So 9 equals to mass divided by 72. 9 times 72 is the mass, and that's going to give us 648 grams. That is your mass of the cuboid. Some people were asked if they want a new television. 70% of the people said yes. 80% of the people who said yes wanted a television with a large screen. What percentage of the people asked they want a television with a large screen? So what we will do over here is that 70% of the people said yes. So 70% and 30% said no. Then of the people who said yes, 80% wanted a large screen. 20% would want a small screen. What percent of the people said they wanted a television with a large screen? So that's going to be 70% times 80%, because basically we're following this route. So that's going to be 5,600 divided by 10,000. That is 0.56. So 0.56 times 100, because they want a percentage, that's going to be 56%. That is your answer. Question 10 says ABD is a triangle. C is a point on BD. Work out the length of DC. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. If we look at this triangle over here, we can see that we have a right angle triangle. They've given us the angle and they've given us the hypotenuse. So to find BC, which is this length, we will need AC. And since AC is the common length shared by both the triangles, we can easily use SOHCAHTOA to find AC. So we have the hypotenuse, we have the angle, we need to find the opposite. So we'll use sine of 41 equals to AC over 6.8. The reason why AC is the opposite because that is the length opposite of the angle that we're using. So 6.8 times sine 41 equals to AC, which is basically going to give us 4.46 centimeter. That's AC. Now to find DC, this is 4.46. We have the opposite. We need to find the adjacent for this right angle triangle. So what we'll use is tangent. Tan 55 equals to 4.46 divided by DC. So DC is going to be 4.46 over tan 55, and that will equal 3.12 centimeters. So correct to one decimal place is going to be 3.1 centimeters. That is your answer. Question 11 says the table shows some information about the heights of a group of adults. They have given us the least height, the greatest height, median, lower quartile, and upper quartile. On the grid, draw a box plot for the information in the table. So median is going to be 177. So that is going to come 71, 72, 70, 76, 70. This is 77 because two small boxes represent one unit. And low quartile is 174, that is over here. Upper quartile is 180, that is here. So if we draw the shape, okay. So now we have the box. So for the whiskers, we will, greatest height is 186. So that stops over here. And least height is 169. That stops over here. This is your box plot, where this is the least height, this is the greatest height, median, lower quartile, and upper quartile. The box plot below shows the distribution of the heights of a group of teenagers. Compare the distribution of the heights of the adults with the distribution of the heights of the teenagers. So the median value over here is 177 and the median value over here is 169. Since the median is higher for adults compared to teenagers, that means teenagers are shorter in general compared to the adults. And if we look at the interquartile range over here, we have 174 is the lower quartile and upper quartile is 180. So the interquartile range is going to be 180 minus 174, which is 6. And over here, the lower quartile is 65 and upper quartile is 171. So interquartile range is 171 minus 165, which is going to be 6 again. So the interquartile range is same for both the teenagers and adults. So we can't really provide a comparison for that. But if we compare the range now, so the range over here is 186 minus 169. That's going to be 17. And for the range for the teenagers, it's going to be 178 minus 157.5, and that's going to be 20.5. So as you can see, the range of teenagers is higher, which shows that the difference between the maximum and minimum value is greater as compared to the adults. Question 12 says, show that x minus 1 times x plus 3 times x minus 5 can be written in the form of ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d, where a, b, c, and d are integers. So let's start with expanding the first two brackets first. So x times x plus 3 is x squared plus 3x, and negative 1 times x plus 3 is negative x minus 3 bracket x minus 5. That's going to be x squared plus 3, 2x minus 3 times x minus 5. Next, we multiply x with x squared plus 2x minus 3. So that's going to be x cubed plus 2x squared minus 3x. And then we multiply negative 5 with x squared plus 2x minus 3. That's going to be negative 5x squared minus 10x plus 15. Now we combine the like terms. X cubed remains as it is. 2x squared minus 5x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative 3x minus 10x is negative 13x, and plus 15 comes as it is. So A is 1, B is negative 3, C is negative 13, and D is 15. Question 13 says an expression for the nth term of the sequence of a triangular numbers is n times n plus 1 over 2. Prove that the sum of any two consecutive triangular numbers is a square number. So if we assume that the first number is n times n plus 1, so the second number would be n plus 1 times n plus 1 plus 1 over 2. So we have to prove that the sum of any two consecutive numbers is a square number. So now if we add this and this to each other, denominators are equal, so we can combine it as a single fraction. N plus 1 times n plus 2 plus n times n plus 1. If I take n plus 1 common, that's going to be n plus 2 plus n over 2, which is n plus 1 times 2n plus 2 over 2. Now, if I expand the brackets, that's going to be 2n squared plus 2n, then plus 2n plus 2 over 2, which is 2n squared plus 4n plus 2 over 2. Which simplified is n squared plus 2n plus 1, because 2 divided by 2n squared is n squared, 4n divided by 2 is 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So now n squared plus 2n plus 1 can be rewritten as n plus 1 whole square. And this is exactly what they wanted us to show, that the sum of two consecutive triangular numbers is a square number. And n plus 1 whole square is a square number. Question 14 says OAB is a triangle. OBC is a sector of a circle with center O. Calculate the area of OBC. So what we can do is we can begin with finding the length of OB, because OB is basically your radius. And OB will equal to OC, because OB and OC both represent the radius of the sector. So to find OB, we can use cosine rule because we have two lengths and the angle between them. So that's going to be OB square equals to 9 square plus 6 square minus 2 times 9 times 6 times cos of 35. That's going to give us 81 plus 36 minus 108 cos of 35. Solve 100 and cos of 35 separately. So over here, 81 plus 36 would be 117. Minus 108 times cos of 35 is going to be 88.468. So now OB is going to be the square root of the difference of 117 and 88.468, which is 28.532. So OB will equal to 5.34 centimeters. Now that we have the radius, for the sector, we'll do 80 over 360 times pi times r square, which is 5.34. So that will give us 19.9 centimeters square. This is your area of the sector, correct to 3 significant figures. Question 15 says factorize a square minus b square. This is your difference of perfect squares. So a square minus b square can be written as a minus b times a plus b. Part B says show that 2 to the power 40 minus 1 is the product of two consecutive odd numbers. For this, we know that 2 to the power 40 is basically 2 to the power of 20 being squared, and 1 is 1 squared. So if we rewrite this as 2 to the power of 20 whole square minus 1 square, it can be rewritten as 2 to the power of 20 minus 1 times 2 to the power of 20 plus 1, because difference of perfect squares. 2 to the power of 20 minus 1 is going to be an even number. 1048,576 minus 1. And over here, it's going to be 1048,576 plus 1. So as you can see, the first thing, this number is going to be odd. And this one would be odd as well. So as the question said, show that 2 to the power 40 minus 1 is the product of two consecutive odd numbers. These are two odd numbers being multiplied. Question 16 says, on the grid enlarge triangle T by scale factor -2 with the center of enlargement -2, -2. So center of enlargement is this. This length, when multiplied by 2, it's going to be 4. This would be 6 and this would be 6. Okay, so if you look at the distance of this point from the center, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 units horizontally. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units horizontally. And we go over here at 6, -2. Then for this point, it's 1, 2, 3 horizontally and 3 vertically. So it's going to be 6 vertically and 6 horizontally from the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is this point. This is this point. And so the distance would increase by 2 as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be the other point. So now if we connect the points, this is your enlarged triangle. And since the scale factor was -2, that's why the shape is upside down. This is your enlarged shape. Question 17 says here's a distance time graph. Find an estimate of the gradient of the graph at time 2.5 seconds. So at time 2.5 seconds, what we will do is we'll draw a line at 2.5. We'll draw this line at 2.5. And then we'll draw a tangent at x equals to 2.5. So if we find the gradient of this tangent, we can pick this point, which is 2.5 and 20. And then we can pick another point, go for like a whole number. If I pick this point, that's 3 and 30. So you find the gradient, that's going to be 30 minus 20 over 3 minus 2.5, which is 10 over 0.5, and that's going to give us 20 meter per second. That is the gradient. And then it says, what does the gradient of the graph represent? The gradient would represent speed or velocity, because our gradient was distance over time. And distance over time is always your speed. A solid frustum is made by removing a small cone from a large cone, as shown in the diagram. Slant height of the small cone is 6 centimeters, and the slant height of the large cone is 10 centimeters. The radius of the base of the large cone is 3 centimeters. Calculate the total surface area of the frustum, giving the answer correct to 3 significant figures. So what we will do is we'll begin with finding the area of the bases. So we have this circular base. And then we have another circular base. So that's going to be, find the area of the circular base at the top. We need to find the radius. Since we don't have that, we will use the concept of similar shapes. We know that the top cone is similar to the larger cone. So that means 6 over 10 equals to R over 3. So 6 times 3 over 10 equals to R, which is 1.8 centimeters. So radius over here is 1.8. Now, area 1 would be pi times 1.8 square, area 1 being the circular face over here. And that gives us 10.18 centimeters square. Area 2 would be the circular base at the bottom. That's going to be pi times 3 square. And that equals to 28.27 centimeters square. Now we talk about the curved surface area. So the curved surface area is going to be this part over here. So to find the curved surface area, what we will do is we will subtract the curved surface area of the larger cone and the smaller cone to find the curved surface area of this part over here. So to do that, what we will do is area 3, which is going to be pi r L1 minus pi r2 L2. So pi times r1 is going to be 3 times the slant height, which is 10, minus pi times 1.8, because r2 is this, and L2 is 6. This gives us 60.32 centimeters square. This is the curved surface area. So now to find the total surface area, we will do 10.18 plus 28.27 plus 60.32, which is 98.77 centimeters square, which can be rounded to 98.8 centimeters square. That is the total surface area of the frustum. Question 19 says Sana needs to draw the graph of y equals to 3 to the power of x for x is greater than equal to 0 and less than equal to 4. She draws the graph shown on the grid. This is the graph. Write on one thing Sana has done wrong. So the graph is for y equals to 3 to the power of x. To find the y-intercept, we put x equals to 0. So y equals to 3 to the power of 0, which would equal to 1. So y-intercept is going to be 0, 1. So graph should have been passing through y equals to 1. Over here, it's passing through y equals to 0. So this is what Sana has done wrong with the graph. Her y-intercept is completely incorrect. Question 20 says, prove algebraically that 0.123 recurring can be written as 61 over 495. So let's assume that x equals to 0.123, 23, 23, and so on, because it's recurring. Then what I'm going to assume is that 10x would be 1.23, 23, 23, and so on recurring. If I multiply x with 1,000, that would be 123.23, 23, 23, and so on. So to make sure that we're able to get rid of the decimal numbers, what we can do is we can subtract 10x from 1000x. Because if we do that, we're doing 123.23 recurring and 1.23 recurring. So 1000 times 10x is 990x, and 123.23 minus 1.23 is 122. So as you can see, we easily got rid of the numbers after the decimal, which gave us this whole number. And now we can easily convert this into a fraction by doing 122 divided by 990. And when we simplify that, 122 divided by 2 is 61, and 990 divided by 2 is 495. So that is how we prove that 0.123 recurring can be rewritten as 61 over 495. Solve 1 over x plus 4 plus 3 over 2 minus 2x equals to 1. So since we're adding unlike denominators, let's make the denominators equal by multiplying the first fraction by 2 minus 2x and the second by x plus 4. So 1 times 2 minus 2x plus 3 times x plus 4 equals to 1. 2 minus 2x plus 3x plus 12, we expand the brackets and cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. So x plus 4 times 2 minus 2x so x plus 4 times 2 minus 2x. So that's going to be x plus 14. And if we expand the brackets over here, x multiplied by 2 and 2 minus 2x and 4 with 2 minus 2x. That's going to be 2x minus 2x squared plus 8 minus 8x. So x plus 14 equals to negative 2x squared minus 6x plus 8. Let's bring everything on one side. So 2x squared minus 6x, 2x squared plus 6x plus x plus 14 minus 8 equals to 0, which is 2x squared plus 7x plus 6 equals to 0. Factorize this quadratic equation. We multiply the quotient of x squared with the constant. So 2 times 6 is 12. Now you find factors of 12. Factors of 12 apart from 2 and 6 are 12 times 1 and 4 times 3. Now you have to pick that set of factors which when added or subtracted gives us the middle term, which is 7. So we know 4 plus 3 is 7. So 2x squared plus 7x plus 6 becomes 2x squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 6 equal to 0. Between the first two terms, we have 2x common, so x plus 2 in the bracket. And between the last two terms, we have plus 3 common, again x plus 2 in the brackets. So between 2x and plus 3, we have x plus 2 common. So as you can see, x equals to negative 2 and x equals to negative 3 by 2, or x equals to negative 1.5. That is your answer. Question 22 says, given that the vector a times 2, 6 plus b times 8, 2 is parallel to the vector 13, 6. Find an expression for b in terms of a. So since they're parallel, a times 2, 6 plus b times 8, 2, that means there's going to be a multiplier being multiplied to 13 and 6. That is the only way we can prove that they're parallel. Now, if we solve the vectors on the left-hand side, that's 2a plus 8b and 6a plus 2b equal to 13k and 6k. So one equation is 2a plus 8b equals to 13k, and the other is 6a plus 2b equals to 6k. Find an expression for b in terms of a. So over here, if we make k the subject in the second equation, that's going to be 6a plus 2b over 6 equals to k. Let's call this a third equation. I'm going to substitute 3 in 1. So that's going to be 2a plus 8b equals to 13 times 6a plus 2b over 6. So cross multiply 6 times 2a plus 8b equals to 13 times 6a plus 2b. So that's 12a plus 48b equals to 78a plus 26b. So now if you collect the a's on one side, 12a minus 78a equals to 26b minus 48b. That's going to be negative 66a equals to negative 22b. So negative 66a divided by negative 22 equals to positive 3a equals to b. So expression for b in terms of a is 3a equals to b. Question 23 says circle has the equation x squared plus y squared equals 25. The point P with coordinates negative 3, 4 lies on the circle. Alex says the tangent to the circle at P crosses the x-axis at the point negative 8, 0. Is Alex correct? Show your working. So firstly, the center for this circle is 0, 0. And your radius is given as 5. So this is information that we have from the equation of the circle. Now the point P with coordinates negative 3, 4 lies on the circle. If we find the gradient of the line connecting point P with the center of the circle, that would be 4 minus 0 over negative 3 minus 0, which is negative 4 over 3. Now, if you remember, when a circle is touching a tangent, the radius makes a 90-degree angle with the tangent. Okay. So, which means whatever the gradient of the radius is, which in this case would be the line between O and P, because point P lies on the circle. So that means it lies on the circumference of the circle, and center was 0, 0. So if I say this is P and this is O, OP is your radius. And says the tangent to the circle at P crosses the x-axis at negative 8, 0. So this tangent is also passing through point P. So gradient of OP times the gradient of the tangent would basically equal to negative 1. This is the property of perpendicular lines. When two lines are perpendicular, the product of the gradients always equals to negative 1. So negative 4 over 3 times m2, which is the gradient of the tangent, equals to negative 1. So m2 would equal to 3 by 4. This is your gradient of the tangent. Since the tangent is also passing through point P, we can create an equation for the tangent using the slope-intercept form. Y equals to mx plus c, m is 3 by 4. And if we substitute the point P, negative 3, 4 in this equation, we'll get 4 equals to 304 times negative 3 plus c, which is 4 plus 9 over 4 equals to C. 25 over 4 equals to C. Which means our equation is y equals to 3 by 4 x plus 25 over 4. Now to check if the tangent crosses the x-axis at point -8, we put x equals to -8 in the equation. And as you can see, that does not give us 0. Instead, it gives us 1 over 4, which means Alex is not correct. Question 24 says there is a total of y counters in a box. There are x pink counters and 5 blue counters in the box. The rest of the counters are green. X is to y is 1 is to 3. Frida takes at random 2 counters from the box. Find in terms of x an expression for the probability that Frida takes 2 counters of the same color. So if she's taking 2 counters of the same color, firstly, there are x pink counters and 5 blue counters. So pink is 5 and pink is x and blue is 5. Total, there are y counters. So total are y. So green are going to be y minus x minus 5. Now when you talk about the probability of pink is going to be x over y. Probability of blue is going to be 5 over y. And probability of green is going to be y minus x minus 5 over y. It also said that x is to y is 1 over 3. So x over y, which is probability of pink, is equal to 1 over 3. The question says, find in terms of x an expression for the probability that Frida takes 2 counters of the same color. Giving your answer as a fraction in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c over dx squared plus dx. So if she's taking 2 counters of the same color for pink, that would be going to be x over y times x minus 1 over y minus 1. This is the probability of her taking 2 pink counters. Or if she's taking 2 blue counters, that's going to be 5 over y times 5 minus 1 over y minus 1. This is the probability of her taking 2 blue counters. Then if she's taking 2 green counters, that's going to be y minus x minus 5 over y times y minus x minus 5 minus 1 over y minus 1. That is the probability of taking 2 green counters. So now if we simplify this, pink would be x times x minus 1 over y times y minus 1 plus 5 times 4, which is 20, over y times y minus 1. And over here, we'll have y minus x minus 5 times y minus x minus 6 over y times y minus 1. As you can see, the denominators are equal. That's going to be x squared minus x plus 20 plus, if we expand these brackets, that's y squared minus xy minus 6y minus xy plus x squared plus 6x minus 5y plus 5x plus 30. And this entire thing is being divided by y times y minus 1, because that's the common denominator. Let's combine the like terms. So it's going to be 2x squared plus 10x plus y squared plus 50 minus 2xy minus 11y over y squared minus y. Now, if you remember, x over y was given as 1 over 3. So that means 3x equals to y. We'll substitute that in the equation to get rid of the y. So 2x squared plus 10x plus 3x squared plus 50 minus 2x times 3x minus 11 times 3x divided by 3x whole square minus 3x. And that's going to be 2x squared plus 10x plus 9x squared plus 50 minus 6x squared minus 33x over 9x squared minus 3x. And that simplifies to 5x squared minus 23x plus 50 over 9x squared minus 3x. That is your final answer.